everyone, welcome. In this lecture we are going to talk about the following topics: how to assign an IP address to the virtual box, add your public and private key into Ansible control servers and only public key in web server, access to Vagrant machine without Vagrant SSH, meaning you can do directly SSH Vagrant at the rate of IP address without public private key, Ansible host file, and Ansible playbook.1.yml, and Ansible playbook command with help of a host. This is kind of a architecture I'm going to follow, and it will be there in Windows 10 PC. So Vagrant is installed, VirtualBox is installed. On with help of a Vagrant and VirtualBox, we'll provision the two server. One is a CentOS for Ansible control server, another one for CentOS 7 Apache web server, where by default Ansible will be installed and Ansible control server as a host, and IP address will be 192.168.10.5, and Apache web servers will be web server 01 with IP address 192.168.10.6. So let's go and do it. You'll be see something directory structures like Ansible to web server, or you can create a directory as you wish, but only mandatory things: just list all these three files like in host, playbook, and Vagrant file. I'll be place this file into the download section. I'll be in download sections and you can download it. Let me go and see that directory structures. So this is the directory I have: Ansible to web server, where we have a host, playbook, and Vagrant file. We can see the contents of a Vagrant file and understand what is there. So in the Vagrant file, just I have used that in a one for Ansible control server. This is a altogether for Ansible control server, where I am using the VMbox CentOS 7, host name Ansible control server, and network private network IP 192.168.10.5. I don't want to use that in default private key, so I have disabled the insert key false and private key path. I mentioned that in where I have generated the SSH key, where my private key and public key is there. So for this you can refer that my previous video or sections for how to generate SSH key. And this is the insecure private key, which is by default Vagrant. And then provisioners file source, just adding that in our private key into that in Ansible control server for accessing that in a web server. And then I'm just adding that in a public key to that in Ansible control server as authorized key for access that in without private key. And with help of this configuration, just we want to remove the password authentications, yes to no in etc ssh d underscore config file, and yes, starting the sshd services. After that, in another provisioning cell inline, just we are installing the Ansible and printing the Ansible versions. In the next configurations we have for web server, in an web server we are using the same CentOS 7 and host name web server 01, private IP 192.168.10.6. but here we are just port forwarding, we are mentioning for guest 22 and host 22, and for guest 80 and host 80, because we need to SSH from Ansible server to here by port 22, and we have a web server, so we need access on port 80 to access from outside. Now again we are just copying that in our private key and public key as authorized key, and here just we are making sure there is a password authentications no, and we are starting the services. This is all about the Vagrant file. You can go through that in Vagrant official website to understand that in more details, or these scripts you can utilize it as it is and it will work for sure. After that, I have just defined that in one host file where I have just mentioned that in web and IP address of a web server. So IP address of a web server, nothing but here we have mentioned that. So with help of a web, this inventory will be accessible in the playbook, and in playbook I have mentioned that in whatever we have in host file. And now become yes, meaning we want to perform this activity by root, and then we are just trying to install HTTPD and making sure that services is up and running. After that, we have to just confirm that we have SSH key. So this is my SSH key, and in this IDRS private and this is public one, and non-host nothing is there at the moment. So what is next? Next, this is all about that we talk about files, host file, playbook. These are the commands I'm going to perform, where cd, I'm going to Ansible to web server, and Vagrant up, SSH Vagrant something, and cd into the Vagrant, sudo chmod, and changing the directory, Ansible playbook I host, and so on and so forth. And after that I'll be do the destroy. So let's go and do one by one. First I'll do that in cd, open the command prompt, app Vagrant and Ansible to server, and we can see that in all three files is available here. What we can perform, Vagrant up, and which is there in here, Vagrant up, and just wait for a few minutes and both servers will be open. In between you can open the VirtualBox and see. Ansible control server and web server both are making sure like an app. So one of them is 40% completed, which is Ansible control server. Ansible control server got the port 22 as a guest and 2020 host with adapter 1, and now with IP address 127.0.0.1 clone 2020 we can access it. I started running provisioners, which is what we have mentioned into that in shell scripts. So inline scripts. You can see meaning these are the scripts performing at the moment. This part is scripting part. Ansible installations have started. All dependency will be installed. First one is completed. Second one is started as a web server. 20% completed. 40%. 70. And this will not take that much of time because we don't have any further installations. But for this we got that four things, like in three things, both 22 directory redirecting to host and guest for 22, 80, and then 22 is redirecting to by default to 2200, adding the private key for authentications, SSH auth method. Setting the host name, configurations and enabling network interface. All done. So after that we have to SSH into Vagrant 192.168.10 and 5. So let me copy the IP address. I need this IP address. That's all. And then go to the command prompt and SSH Vagrant @ here, and I'll use that because I want to go into the Ansible control server. And here we go. I'm in the Ansible control server. And just need to do cd Vagrant directory, and we can see that in our list of a file, playbook host name and Vagrant file, which we need. What we need other than that, we need to change that in one c.ch mode 400 to IDRS a private key. We have just placed into that, and then Ansible playbook host and playbook, and then after that we'll destroy it. So if I'll go to that in VirtualBox, both server is running up and running. Next command I'm going to sudo ch mod 402 and just changing the IDRSA key to make accessible only for the particular user instead of everyone. Now what we'll do, we'll check the Ansible command. Ansible install or not. Yeah, Ansible is there. One more thing, we can cross check it normally before going ahead. So if you'll see, after doing this command, we'll able to see that in one running website. So let me open that in a browser and type the IP address and confirm that nothing is running at the moment, and that's absolutely all right. So I'll perform the Ansible command. I'll make sure my file is there in the same directory. Ansible playbook -i, which is inventory, and I'll make the host as the inventory where our web server IP address is configured, and alias as a web, and then playbook.yml and just enter. We can disable this part also. I'll let you know that in upcoming session. So what is happening? Apache SDTDBD is installed. It's trying to install and it will take few minutes. You can run in debug mode so you can get the more output, but that's fine. We'll see in later. I don't want to overload. Everything is done. If I'll repeat that command again, so we'll get nothing. Same thing, it will repeat that. Now if I'll go to that in a browser and just hit this URL, here we go, our Apache web server is installed with help of Ansible control, and this is the command I performed, that in Ansible -playbook -I, name of the host file, and playbook.yml. Such kinds of output we got it. And so what we did that first we provision that in a two server, one for Ansible control server and web server, and by default we install that in Ansible. If you'll see here, with help of that I'm installing that in sudo yum -y install Ansible, and then we log into that in this server, and we provision that in one another web server. And in that web server, what we did that we with help of Ansible playbook we installed the Apache web server, and we are able to see that in this result, such kinds of results, which is Apache web server default page. And that's all about in this lectures, and thanks for watching. We'll see that in more Ansible command in this environment itself. So in going forward, I'll just use that in um, as a reference. I mean like in web server or like in Apache control server, so you have to understand it. So these architectures I'm going to use that in for almost most of the Ansible command. So I'll not talk that in Vagrant VirtualBox going forward. I'll directly start from the Ansible control server, and if required we'll provision the more than one web server, or like in database and web server, and do that in all commands other than AWS. So kind of on-premises will perform like this, and I'll suggest to go ahead and do that likewise one. Once again, thanks for watching, and keep continuing watching.